All right. Gardening for newcomers. Good. Gardening for newcomers. Get rid of my knife. This. Here we go. We are glad you're tuned in online. So you all are tracking us on LinkedIn, Facebook, where else? YouTube, all those places. And if you miss some of the notes, you're going to go back and look at it. This is live streaming, so you go right back on our Facebook page, YouTube channel, or LinkedIn page, and it will automatically be there by the time you get to the next computer. You could probably watch it on your phone while you're here. If you're really bored, you can do both at the same time, live and recorded. So we are here at Waters Garden Center. We are glad we're in our summer series. Today is gardening for newcomers. We've got a packed house. So I'm going to go over all the zones, frost dates, technical issues, things that maybe you are new here that are different from anywhere else in the country, that you have to reprogram, wind, sun, alkalinity. We'll go over some plants, the seasons of when you plant plants. We'll do all that in about 50 minutes. Okay, so this will be fast. This is technical. So there's a lot of dates, zones, numbers, that kind of stuff, but it will up your game. I mean, you'll be 5 clicks ahead after you get done with this. So that's my goal for you. I've got 4 handouts, and I'm going to send those to you. I'm going to go over fertilizer. It is super important, and it is time to put it down. So your timing is impeccable right now. This is when you're doing it. I'll show you how to do it, what to do. I did write an article, a garden column I write each week. I wrote one, Gardening for Newcomers, a few months ago. If you miss the notes, if you're a note taker, and we kind of go, oh, wait a minute, I missed that. What was it? You'll have the handout in your mailbox this afternoon. So you folks that are really detailed, you know who you are. It'll be to you. We'll cover all that. I also wrote a book called The Low Maintenance Landscape, which is kind of what we are here. It's how to use rock, how to use irrigation, it covers all the details of design, plants, that kind of stuff. I'm going to give that to you free. It's a like 50, 60 page book, but it's for us. It's not regurgitated Google stuff. This is actually our information. Okay, so that'll be to you. So those 4 things will be in your inbox. If you want that, I need your email because I will personally email you from my desktop to yours after the class, probably after the lunch rush. So probably later this afternoon, I'll send that out to you, okay? If I could ask a favor, I put first name, last name, email. I try to keep it simple. I'm not going to sell your stuff. I just can't read your handwriting. And sometimes I can interpret what your email address is by your first name, last name. So many of your first name. I love you like mountain hiker at gmail.com. I love those. Daisy planter at gmail.com. I love those. But most of us are first name, last name. Take a little bit of care because I'm going to read it. My eyesight's not so good. Help me get your email right. Okay. So I'll get those to you via link, the HTML or a PDF. So you can read on any digital device, phone, iPad, desktop, laptop, whatever. Okay, so that's coming your way. So who am I? Hi, my name's Ken. I own the garden center. I'm the second. How did Ken Lane come to own Waters Garden Center? Well, Harold Waters, he started the place back in 1962. Okay, it's our 62nd year in business. He was a landscaper. And he started ordering more and more plants. He needed a retail garden center to hold all the plants. It's a typical story for how landscapers get into garden centers. Well, Harold had very pretty daughters. He had 4 of them. And I took a liking to the youngest, prettiest one, I think, Lisa. So she and I came back into the business. We got tired. We had 4 kids. We're doing the corporate track. Corporate always takes you, if you're good at it, it takes you further and further and further away from your home. Usually wherever corporate is, in Atlanta or Chicago or Dallas or all those places I didn't want. And so we missed having, cousins, aunts, uncles, grandkids, our families from here. We went to Prescott High School, my college, ASU, the typical track for a local kid. We wanted to come back home. So we gave it the corporate track and came into the family business and took it over, had a transition. And now our daughter, Mackenzie, our youngest daughter, we have 4 kids as well. So Kate is in Austin, Texas. has no interest in garden centers. James, he is a Army captain. He's on the career track there, doing great things. He just got rebased to San Antonio. We just found out he's got his 4th kid coming too. So in November, we'll have another grandchild. We're excited. And then we have identical twin girls, Megan and Mackenzie. So Mackenzie works here. Megan has no interest in the garden center. She's in San Antonio. 3 of our kids are in Texas. I don't know how, but you folks from Texas, I love you. That's not my favorite state. I'd rather go to Hawaii or Europe or someplace, but Texas, it's a regular thing for us. We're going all the time to see kids. That's kind of our history, our background. We have farmed and landscaped and grown retail plants for 62 years now. We've learned a few things. Here's the things we've learned. I want to share those with you, at least the highlights. Okay, gardening is learned by making mistakes. I'm going to give you permission to kill things. These are not puppy dogs. They're just plants. If you make a mistake and it struggles, if you bought another house and maybe you aren't the first one to garden there, some of you need to rip some of that stuff out. It is okay. If the thing is ugly and it's aged out, sometimes you need to remodel that landscape like you do a kitchen. In fact, we don't remodel enough. You could date neighborhoods by the junipers growing in the front yard, by the wood timbers we used to use, the railroad ties we used in the 80s and 90s. You can date a neighborhood. Don't let your house be dated. So anyway, that's kind of my soapbox thing. But you're going to make some mistakes. It's okay. Forgive yourself or forgive your husband, please. He's trying, so he'll get better after he kills a few more plants, and then come back and do it again, because I know we can buy some other better plants. Waters Garden Center. Okay, so we are a Zone 8. It just got moved this year. Zone 8, our plants go down to about 10, 15 degrees. So we get some serious cold. We get serious cold. Not Minnesota cold. We don't even get Flagstaff cold. We get cold and it warms right back up during the day. But at night, in January, it can get chilly. It can dip down real quick. And then it bumps back up to, you'll have a vest on. You'll dress in layers. You can still go hiking out in the forest and doing your thing outdoors. But in the evening, it's going to get chilly. So the plants need to be able to take that cold. Okay. So that's what the zones are. So we're a Zone 8. We just got moved. We were a Zone 7B. So 10 degrees. And what this is, so someone asked, oh, I thought we were 7A. What is our zone? The current zone today is 8. What they do is they take 20 years of data, they average the last 20 years out, and they slot you into a zone. So we are warmer than we were 20 years ago by 5 degrees. They just moved us to Zone 8. So I've always said we're Zone 7. We flirt with Zone 8 pretty strongly. And so I grow quite a few Zone 8 plants in my yard. Now, these are barrel cactus, some Mexican fantail palms. You got to be a little careful with them because they don't naturally want to grow here, but I'm a gardener. I like to see what the limits are. So I figured it out. So I grow a few of those things. And so you do the same thing. I've learned never tell a gardener what they can or cannot do. They'll find a way to make it grow. But if in doubt, as you're reading tags, you want to see grows in Zone 8 or lower. 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. So 1 is like, can go down to like minus 50 degrees. Some crazy cold we'll never see, but it also grows here. What you want to be careful of, because we've got so much influence from Phoenix plants do not grow up here. In fact, if you're from Southern California, Palm Springs, Tucson, Phoenix, just erase, reboot, start over, because all that stuff you knew there doesn't translate to here. I hear so many stories of people bringing their succulent collection from California. They plant it outdoors and it dies the first winter because they were tropical plants. They couldn't take the right zone. They were Zone 9 or 10, which is what Phoenix is. And so the winter killed them. So your citrus trees, for you Phoenix folks, you can't grow those up here. But you can grow apples, cherries, apricots, nectarines, plums, peaches. There's so many great things you can grow that need to have that 4-season cold climate. They need to get cold to reset and come out and bloom again. So you need to change a few things there. You folks from Southern Cal, you cannot have avocado. You can't have it. It's not going to grow. You got to shift and move your things up. So those are common questions I hear all the time. Can I grow those? The folks in the Midwest, you love your cactus. You want us to look like Phoenix. You cannot have a saguaro cactus grow here. It is not going to do it. In fact, you can see I-17 where they stop. You just roll halfway up the hill. That's a south-facing hill. All of a sudden, you'll see them just disappear because that's the cold. You can see the physical zones that we're talking about change as you go up in altitude. And so we are above that. There's a few cactus we can grow. Choyas. We can grow some prickly pears. There's a handful. Basically, we grow really good yuccas and agaves. The next zone up, because they love growing in this zone. The agave is the century plant. Right now, you're seeing a plant, a little spiky plant about this big. It has a ginormous flower. You can almost watch it grow by day. It's called a century plant. It's actually an agave. There's several varieties, but the reason it's called a century plant is it's rumored to every 100 years it blooms. It takes about 100 years for it to bloom. In the wild, that's probably true. In your own backyard, I find they bloom much sooner because they're being cared for. They're being fertilized, they're being watered. So about every 20 years, they'll bloom. And then that flower will great pollinator, puts seed out, and then the mother plant dies. So there's no way to keep that core plant, the original plant, alive. It dies. Her children, called pups off the side, they will live. And the way that plant actually works in the wild, when you see it up on the Bradshaws or up over Iron Springs community, there's big clusters of agave or century plants. The way that plant really works is she's going, I'm going to form seed. That's the reason she's growing so tall. She wants to be 10, 15 feet tall, have seed, and she's going to die and fall over and seed over there. And then her children are saying, here, that's how they spread across the hillside. So yuccas are very similar. Yuccas they don't die. You're seeing one that's got a red flower right now, about this tall. Very pretty. It's kind of the number, it's called red yucca. It's the #1 seller. It's 3 different sizes. They do really well here. They're in our zone. So yuccas and agaves grow better. Our frost dates, we have to get those down. This is going to be confusing because you will be tricked. Now we're past our frost date now. Obviously, it's summer. But our average, this is 100 years of data we've tracked. After 100 years, you average it. The average last frost is May 8th. So that's Prescott, Arizona. You poor folks from Prescott Valley. I know you think you're special. You've got it going on, but you're the same as the rest of us. Only you're like May 10th or 9th. You're like a day earlier. You're a little bit earlier. You're like a day or two. We're all the same. Chino Valley. What about Chino? Let's get it out there. Go ahead. It's the same. It's the same. We're May 8th. The locals use the holiday as a marker because it generally lands about here. Mother's Day is what we use as the last frost date. So you'll hear a lot of folks go, don't plant your tomatoes till after Mother's Day. That's because of the frost date. That's a tropical plant. So if you even look at basil with a cold pot, it doesn't like the cold. It likes summer. So you notice in your tomatillos right now, the rain, the heat, it's just going whoosh. Tomatoes going whoosh. The things that like the summer, these summer plants, things that need to be planted after Mother's Day or May 8th. Quite honestly, you all are gardeners. Okay, it's something freakish about you. You're in a garden class, wanting to know gardening for newcomers. I want to up my game. I want to get ready. I want to go to Waters, get a free class, kind of learn what to do. That says something about you. So you're going to cheat it. You're going to go at the end of April, and it's okay. I'm giving you permission because you're in tune with the environment. You're going to plant that tomato April 20th. And then you're going to keep track of the weather and go, oh, it's going to frost. I'm going to cover it. So you cover things, you protect things. You're gardening. You're nurturing the plant to grow better. But the novice gardener, one that doesn't track the weather, they're not tuned with the environment, they should wait till May 8th or later. Okay, so the average is, the funny thing with the average is 50 of those years it snowed after May 8th. The other 50 was beautiful in the middle of April, but the average is the 8th. Okay, our first frost of the year, October 28th. The holiday we use is Halloween. Now, Halloween, you should be ready. So you've got those great big tomatoes that are loaded up, those big slicing brandywines, big boys. It's just loaded with tomatoes. They're all green. You haven't picked one yet. And it's about to frost. Well, there you can quickly cover those and protect them because we're famous for Indian summers. We're famous for, we just had a frost, flash frost. Boom. You just cover it, it'll get nice again through November. Keep these things going. We just have this, we're famous for, it's not like the Midwest where it slowly warms up. And when it gets warm, it stays that way. No, we violently go get warm. And we violently get colder. So it'll be cold, then it'll be real nice again. So that's because of the altitude. Just be aware of that. So in March, you'll be gung-ho. You'll be going, oh, weather's nice. We are going to get one last snowstorm in March, first part of April. We're going to. Just know it, but it sure is nice. So plant your lettuce, plant your pansies, plant things that like that kind of frosty weather. Kales, your spinach, broccolis, they like that. Wait to plant your summer things until a little later in May. That'll be a game changer. Your geraniums, your zinnias, wait until they're a little bit later. Okay. I don't know if you dug a hole yet, but our soil, we don't got that. You don't have soil. This is the only place you've heard of caliche, which I think that's the Native Americans said that's basically concrete and soil is the interpretation. It's a gray zone that kind of is calcium compacted, and so it's literally as hard as rock. And so if you hit that, plants don't grow with that. So sometimes you'll plant things in the soil and you don't see the caliche layer just underneath the root, the hole that you dug, and you start watering and it builds up and it's like a bathtub. It just fills up with water. So plant will start to yellow, drop leaves, stops blooming. 2 months later, you're kind of going, what's going on? Drainage. Drainage is an issue. So especially you folks out in the valley areas, that 69 corridor, from Ranch, Yavapai Hills all the way out. And then all the valley area, you got the heavy clay and the caliche layers. Okay, you folks get closer to Talking Rock out towards Granite Mountain, those areas, you've got sandy, granity soil. There is a hard pan underneath that, about 12, 18 inches. It does get harder, but that first layer is real sandy. So you folks have it easier because things root out faster. The problem is you have to water it because it dries out faster. You folks in the heavier clay, you don't have to water very much. In fact, if you're going to kill things, it will be from too much water. And gardeners tend to be generous, so we tend to overdo it. You poor folks in Chino Valley with free water. You dug a well, you stuck a straw in the ground, and you just water all the time, every day. I water 5 times a day. And you wonder why your plants are yellow. You can overwater things. This is some heavy clay soils. Just be careful with that. If you're in doubt, we'll show you how to plant things here in a moment. But if you're in doubt, when you dig a hole, you're going to put a new pine tree, Arizona cypress. These glorious trees are beautiful in your neighborhood. They need drainage. A new fruit tree, a new beautiful maple. We grow beautiful maples here. They need drainage. So as you dig that hole and you're not sure, in the morning, just fill it up with water. And if water's still sitting there at the end of the day, you basically dug a bathtub. It's not going to grow a tree there. So keep digging. So usually we'll do what we call digging a chimney. We'll explain this a little bit. We'll just take a piece of it and go, okay, we'll see if we can dig down until we get to the next soil band. You'll see like in the road cuts, you'll see different layers of soil. You can just get to the next soil type and we'll start draining like that. Just like that. So make sure it drains. That'll be the key for you. Okay. We'll show you what to mend, that kind of stuff. But That's just real quick, top of mind kind of stuff. So your soil's hard. You're going to need to add some work. You cannot add enough compost, mulch, manure. Be careful with manure. You're in horse country. So there's piles of manure. First thing you do when you get a horse, I've had horses. First thing you do, you take them, put them in your barn. Oh, enjoy the paddock. Oh, the pasture. We'll bond later. We'll go riding. Then you go in the house. You get a piece of paper out and stick. And the first thing you do is you go free manure. You put it in the front yard because you are going to have to deal with that stuff. And so there's always this process. Now, be careful if you're using it. It's great stuff. But there's also a big beetle that grows, that likes manure piles. In the summer, you'll see him. He's a great big black beetle with a horn on him. The larva stage is a grub. This big white wormy looking thing. He looks like an alien life form, like he's come down from Mars and going to suck on your jugular at night. So it's ferocious. Well, if you take that manure with those grubs and you put it in your soil without composting it first, you take that raw, put it in your gardens. Grubs eat roots of plants, and you will cause issues. You wonder why that plant is getting dry. You can't water enough because it's always got bugs, these grubs eating the roots up. Just be aware. Grab the manure if you need it. Grab it if you need it. But just compost it first. And the person that has the equestrian folks, they don't want to keep it around for a year while it composts. They want you to do it at your house. So pick it up, take it home, or just come to my place. I deodorized it. It's not gooey and gross. It doesn't have bugs. We sterilize it. You just need a little bit, just by the bag. But compost is great stuff. Compost is, so the little bit of topsoil that you had, this is a hard one for you Wisconsin people. Yeah, I've got 8 foot of topsoil. All I did was throw my hat in the ground. It started to grow. It's so easy. Not here. You had 8 millimeters of topsoil. And the contractor took the backhoe and instantly scraped all that topsoil off, threw it to the side, put your footers, your driveways, that kind of stuff. Some of you are literally gardening in dead soil. And so you'll plant something without amending it enough. And so all of a sudden, 3 years later, it hasn't died. It hasn't grown. It's just sitting there, mocking you, going, no, I will not grow here. I am not happy, and I'm not going to do this. And so you need to kind of amend that soil so to get it to encourage, you need to reintroduce some of the composted materials back into the soil so it activates the soil, brings in the worms, mycorrhizal colonies, all that kind of stuff. Okay? So it's just some things. The ground is so hard, so I'm up overlooking Prescott Lakes, the Dells area, beautiful vista, side of a hill. It's the dream house. Family house, got a lot of steps. Starting to get tired. The kids are all gone, but we're going to keep it because it's our dream house. The soil is the worst gardening, hardest I've ever gardened, and I've farmed all over the county. This is the hardest gardening ever. I tried and tried and tried. It's a slope, dug into the side of a hill. You walk in the top, go downstairs, walk out the back. The hot tubs and patios back there. So it's on a slope. It's north side. It's beautiful right now in the afternoon. It's cool. Wind kind of house blocks the wind. It's a great place. But the north side of heavy, heavy clay soils, I've killed more things by overwatering there. I finally gave up. I now have raised beds. I just took paver blocks from Yavapai Block. They've got a bigger paver. I just put it downhill, and then I backfilled with good stuff. And so my gardens are just like stair-step gardens because I like to garden. I want to garden. I need to garden. I don't feel well unless I garden. I need some fresh air. I need my hands on dirt or something about that. It's good for me. And so but watching something die, that's torture. For a gardener, that's called hell on earth. Watching something fade and there's nothing you can do, that's not good. So we do a lot of raised beds with container gardening because the ground is so hard. And if you got a raised bed, we can show you how to make that go. Okay. Food. There is no nutritional value in your ground. That's it. You're going to fertilize more often here. It's because of that lack of topsoil. You just don't have, the plants are using it, they're using the soils, they're using the fertilizers, and then your plants are left wanting. This is something new maybe that you've not used, you're not familiar with. California, it's a place where they have some nice soils. Here you're going to fertilize more often. Now let me get on my soapbox a little bit. So if you're used to chemical fertilizers, petroleum-based, your Scott's Turf Builders, 2100, these kinds of things, don't use them. First of all, it burns. The plants do grow, but it burns off your worms. Worms don't like it. Microrhizae, all the good stuff in the soil don't like that. Chemicals, they don't like it. It'll juice your plant. It's like heroin for plants. But it also does detrimental stuff to your soil. You just spent all this energy rebuilding your soil back up. You're going to kill it with chemical fertilizers. Use organic fertilizers. That, and we are all drinking groundwater. All of us are drinking well water. Whether you're the city of Prescott, they pipe it out of Chino Valley, and they just pipe it in, or you've got a big ranch, and you put your own straw in. We are all drinking groundwater. If you're using chemicals, we do have the ability to poison ourselves. If you're on your own well, don't use chemical fertilizer around your well because it can't get in there. And what the groundwater right here as we sit, about 10 feet. They call it Iron Springs Road for a reason. Every time we dig a hole, water starts pumping. This building right here, big nightmare of a construction project. Had to have helical piers, floating footers, because we hit the groundwater. And the grader they were using, like big 6-wheel gigantic blade, sank right there. Just disappeared below the ground. It just sank into the water. Just the next morning, just sitting above the ground like this. Had to have a track hoe pull them out. So what we don't want to do is use liquid chemical fertilizers release real quick. So within 30 days, they're all released, or a big thunderstorm. It releases all that nitrogen, and most of it actually flows downhill, or it's not even used by the plants. Whereas organic fertilizers break down much slower. It's using meals, cottonseed meal, feather meal, blood meal, and bone meal, using organic materials. These things break down slowly as water hits it. Just breaks down much longer period of time. So you're going to fertilize for like 3 months instead of 3 weeks. Much different. That and that box of Miracle Grow you have in the garage, when it's gone, don't buy any more. It's salt-based fertilizer. So our water is very alkaline, very heavy minerals. And so it works against you with our water. So we're kind of a unique bubble here, very high in alkalinity. The rest of the country is very acidic. So they're always trying to raise their pH and make things more alkaline. So if you're watching you're reading the national magazine, the national garden shows, they're going to tell you add lime to your gardens, raise the pH. Whenever you hear that, stop listening, because you don't want to do that unless you want to kill your soil. Personal experience. So you want to always you're always trying to push the pH down, trying to make things acidic. And your gardens are naturally going to take on whatever pH your water is, because you're watering more often. You're watering with drip irrigation. It's naturally going to take on whatever that pH is of your soil, whether it's of your water. So the city of Prescott, it's going to take on, that's probably 7.2, 7.5. I've had a personal well with 9.4 pH. You folks that have had pools and hot tubs, that's where you get in the hot tub and you get out and your skin feels like it wants to crawl off. That's what 9 point something is, pH. It's not good for plants. Their roots peel off. So you're going to always try to make things acidic. So the soils we put together are organic, and we're adding soil sulfur to the mix because we know you're going to have problems. We're trying to push that pH down. I'm just going to lay this down because it's irritating. Unless you like that. Do this. And just while we're at, or we'll just do that. There. Okay. And I'll take a sip of water. Oh, did I do something wrong? Hello? Are we good?
Yep.
Says I'm good.
Yep.
Can you hear us online? I guess that's the question. Or we got a speaker here. Is it picking up from here? Hear it? Hey, we're testing. 1, 2, 3.
Yeah.
Online, you can.
Yeah.
I'll speak up better for you all. I don't know what happened to this. Oh, did I hit the? I bet I hit the microphone. Why don't you check that? Check the booster box. All right.
You're good online.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I'm worried about the folks back.
Oh.
Try that. But until then, until Johnny gets us figured out, I'll try to speak louder. I got a pretty good voice. So pH, always trying to lower your pH, make things acidic. That'll be different. So the sun is more intense and the ground is very alkaline. And alkalinity, the symptoms are the plant starts to yellow. It stops blooming. It drops some leaves. These are all indications of I'm not happy. I'm letting you know I'm not happy. And I'm going to tell you by turning some yellow. They look anemic. Your fall-colored aspens, your fall-colored maples, they'll be muted. They'll be more orange or yellows and less reds, and they'll be off color. Your tomatoes will just stop blooming. They won't form fruits, or they'll shed fruits. Your squash will just they'll form one, turn yellow, and just drop off. These are all indications of my pH is too high. I need to lower it. So you'll be coming in going, hey, thank you. Perfect. What was it anyway? What is it? Oh, okay. Well, there we go.
Yeah.
So it's hard to keep track of where I was when things are happening. pH is coming down. You're always trying to keep your pH and the sun are the two things are more intense. You're not used to, because everywhere else in the country has lower elevation, some cloud cover, humidity. We don't have that until the monsoons hit. Have you noticed this week? Last week it was dry, okay, cool. It was like 95, but it's cooler than it is now. It's only like 80 degrees. So it's just humid. You just I feel like I'm swimming half the time. So humidity goes up. This is why the summer monsoon season is like a second planting season. It's almost easier to plant things now than it is in spring. Spring's more popular, but there you've got very chilly nights, warm days, brand new tender growth coming out. Just the temperatures are violent. New growth, the prevailing southwest wind is always blowing this 10% humidity dry. It dries things out. Now, the ground is very warm already. So in the spring, it's cold. Now it's warm, so they root just instantaneously. And then there's cloud cover. So it's shaded, it's humid. Plants actually absorb moisture from their environment, not just their roots. So if they can use your irrigation system and they get an afternoon rain, the humidity's up, it's like a double benefit for them. They will respond. And so now's a chance to, if things look stressed out in June is our hardest month to grow things. All you want to do is keep them alive. You don't need them to look good. Just keep them alive. The monsoons are coming. You're fertilized right at the start of monsoon, and they will come out of it and grow like crazy. They literally whole another set of leaves, whole another set of rose flowers, whole another set of blooms. It's another growing season for us. It's because of the way the rains hit for us. Okay. The other one too, I'm going to get a whole host of folks in about 6 weeks coming into the garden center going, I don't know what happened. My plants look so yellow. There's a problem. They didn't fertilize when the rain started. So they watered like crazy in June. They kept it alive. The plants started to flush out, push new growth, and it ran out of food. It starts to go yellow. And I can mark it. I've been doing this for 32 years. I know it's coming. And so we'll have fertilizer ready. You'll be coming in. I need some iron. Give me some iron. You need a food with iron in it and some sulfur. We need more than just a mineral. We need to fertilize it more. So these are kind of things you look at. So here you're going to fertilize 4 times a year. And what I would do. Oh, this is good. Okay. We make a plant food, all-purpose plant food, 744. It's organic. It's cottonseed meal. For you Rosarians, you give flowering shrubs cottonseed meal. You can enter the fair, get this huge fragrant flower. It's acidic, makes things bloom. good nitrogen source. We put some bird guano because poop in a bag is, plants love that. So bird guano is a little hotter, so you can get it more per pound. We put sulfur, iron in it. And so it's a good blend for us. So organics is going to release about every 3 months. It's going to slowly release over that period of time. You gardeners are going, you folks with new rock lawns, you don't know what to do with rock. You've got fabric underneath the rock to keep the weeds out, mostly. So just put it on top of the rock. It will break down and go through the rock and the fabric and get to the plants. Just get it on. Consistency is the most important thing. For you hardcore, die-hard gardeners, you're allowed to work it in, make it laborious. Work it in and kind of make it real work. Me, I just chuck and go. I'm the laziest gardener ever. I want beautiful yards easily. And so I just put it on the ground and I walk away. A bag will cover about 2,000 square feet, something like that. So good lawn food because bird guano is good for lawns. Flowering things, it's cottonseed meal. Trees and shrubs, it's an all-purpose plant food. So you go up to the box store, the wall of fertilizer, most of it's chemical, and they've got a geranium food, a pansy food, a fruit tree food, a lawn food, 3 of them. They've got an evergreen tree food. It's ridiculous. Plants don't read. They just know the food. Just get consistent food on, and they will take it in. Consistency is more important. So if you're thinking holidays, think Easter, summer, 4th of July. Think the most important, fall, and winter evergreens. So if you're thinking holidays, think Easter is a good time to fertilize. Plants are just waking up. Your daffodils are in bloom. The forsythia are blooming. You can see things are happening. Plants are hungry when they wake up. So give them some food. Take advantage of the summer rains. Fertilize the 4th of July. Your timing is impeccable right now. It's perfect. We're just starting to see rain, and we've got 2.5 months worth of afternoon rains. Take advantage of it. Especially if you got new gardens. You can get these things to mature by fertilizing them. The most important fertilizing of the entire year, bar none, Halloween. If you don't fertilize then, you're not going to get good lilacs, good fruit tree flowers, good for the spring blooming things, the azaleas and rhododendrons, daphnes and fruit trees and lilacs. These things use the food you gave in the fall to form that flower to form next spring. Again, we don't have a lot of food here. Ken, I never did this in Michigan. Toto, you're not in Kansas anymore. You don't have naturally occurring food. They're going to have to replenish more often to keep things blooming. So I had a nickel for every time I heard, I planted my lilac 3 years ago. It was so stunning for 2 years, and now it's not blooming. Why? I planted exactly the way you told me to. You need to fertilize more often. It uses that food to form that flower. It's forming the flowers in winter, and it blooms. So, and then I think evergreens need fertilizer the new year. We're notorious for winter chlorosis. You can walk your neighborhood. You'll see who fertilized and who didn't in that fall and winter season. There's a gigantic evergreen. It's called Deodar cedar. Grows about, the older ones are probably 60 feet tall, 25 feet wide. These are monsters. And if you don't fertilize those regularly, they turn yellow in the winter. Your junipers will get this yellow hue. They look like they're anemic. And so that's all a food thing. If you simply fertilize them, they stay rich, robust green. If you don't, they get this yellow off color. And so just by a little bit of food in the winter, boy, it just keeps them green just like that. And then it sets the stage because most of your pine trees, most of your conifers, your evergreens, you get one shot at growth. And it's in the spring. Flush that new growth, and then that's it. It's all you're going to get for the year, and then you're just trying to set the stage for the next year. Take advantage of that. If you only get one shot at fertilizing right before you have to make a difference. Okay. With that, that's food. So all-purpose plant food is granular. It does have an earthy smell. I know. It's organic. You're gardeners because you're at a garden class. But new gardens or anything stressed. So I planted a new Atlas cedar. So on the courthouse, as you look at Bucky O'Neill at the main courthouse from Gurley Street, that the statehood tree. So when they christened or opened or grand opening of the courthouse, they planted 2 Atlas cedars or Arizona statehood trees. So the biggest trees, actually the biggest tree is a redwood. It's on the backside. It towers up above all those elms, everything else, by at least 20, 30 feet. It's huge. You don't even see it. The trunk on it is so big you don't even know it's a redwood. You just take it for granted. That's the backside. The front side is an Atlas cedar. I planted an Atlas cedar because there's some road noise coming off of the road. Just want to block some of that. And I planted one of those. It's young. I want it to grow fast. And evergreens don't grow fast their first year. They're rooting. They're growing, but it's all, you don't see it. It's rooting underground. The second year they take off. So first year you're kind of going, what's going on? Did they do something wrong? Then the next spring they just go poof, like this. So I'm setting the stage for next spring. It's brand new growth for next spring. I want this Atlas cedar to be 60 by 20 feet wide. I want it to look just like what's on the courthouse. Beautiful blue color, layered. I think it's prettier even than a spruce tree. In fact, this is an Atlas cedar right here. This is the statehood tree. This is what they planted 110 years ago. What is that? 8 years ago? Whenever 1912. When did we become a state? 1914. 12. So Valentine's Day, 1912. There we go. This is where they planted. So that tree down there is 100. Actually, not true. First tree died. 2 years later, they planted another one, and that's the tree that's still growing. So just the history of things. This one, again, they don't look like much because they need to be in the ground. So there's only so full. We can get the color out of it in a bucket, but it needs to be in the ground. And then these big swooping branches start coming out. Just a nice straight trunk. So it's got nothing's got color like this. Silver, rich blue. It's a pretty plant. Anyway, I'm planting one of those. Fertilize. What I'm going to do is humic works differently than a food. Humic acid, pure organic burgers. Humic acid is you take a compost pile, you compost it down as the last element, and you're left with humic acid. That's this. What humic acid does is it feeds the soil. So the worms, mycorrhizal colonies, things that are alive in the soil, kind of activates that. The plants look at that and go, whoa, something is going on in this soil. I'm happy about this. I'm going to root out more. So it encourages roots is what it does. So you get more root mass. If you've got new plants or you got a hedgerow, that neighbor just bought that beautiful $100,000 Class A, probably $200,000, $3 million Class A RV, parked it right on your property line. They're so proud of it. You got to look at it. You can plant some ever to the living wall, and you can juice it with this to get it to root out faster so it will grow. You see, I told you. Oh, that's my phone's not going off. I forgot to set an alarm, so double down. See, there you go. I had a Zoom call yesterday at 10:30. I set my alarm, but don't forget. It's our consultant. It's important. And I forgot to turn it off. So now I turned it off. Forgot to turn off. I'll probably go off again tomorrow. Humic acid. So I would do this. Anything stressed, anything new you want to get to grow faster, you need more roots, give it this. New lawns, new wildflower patch, give it this. It really makes a difference to get more roots underneath that plant. More roots equals better, stronger plant. New last couple of years, or it's not up to size yet. Sounds like we just there. Breaker just went off. We have to get a new surge protector on that. I would say new is until it's up to size that you want. So new might be obviously this spring, but if you have a hedgerow, red tip photinia, you want the neighbors to disappear over there, then probably keep juicing it so you get more roots. Okay, that's just, it's a unique product. You don't hear about it used very often. We sell a lot of it because we see so many stressed plants from June. Give it the humic right now and it will just come right out of it. So using this with the food, both.
On the surface.
on the surface. You sprinkle it on, let the rain do all the work. Okay, just something different. This will be in the handout to you here by the end of the day. Okay, yeah. Established things that can work, but I think more importantly, if you got a big spruce tree and it's established, Arizona cypress, and they're looking good, I don't think they need this. It is not going to hurt. It can only help. But there's some things, we got so many new homes here that could benefit with a more mature landscape. This is what's going to help for them. Okay. Fruit trees, any kind of trees. Okay, now let me come back. Hold on. I like that we're engaged, but we will derail. I only got 15 minutes. So let me come back to this real quick. Okay, I got to get one more thing too. So we're now going to come down to the rains are here. Things are going to grow fast, really fast, including tumbleweeds. Will get as big as like a garden shed. The goat head, horehound, all these nasty things that have names of animals attached to them. None of them are good, and they all come up by seed. They've been waiting there till the ground was warm enough and there was rain. So things will start coming. They will just come back with a vengeance. I'm putting this on my yard right now. This is weed and grass stopper. This is a seed killer. You need to put this on before the weeds come up, and it takes the work out of weeding, especially if you got a lot of rock lawns. So I love rock lawns. One weed comes up and it drives you crazy. So you're still going to see some weeds showing up because the silt shows up between the fabric and the rock. You just have a few things there. And so this will take out probably 95% of all weeds, gets rid of it. If a plant is already growing, if a weed's already up, if your rose is already going, it does not affect plants already there. It only affects the seed. It keeps a taproot from sitting, keeps it from sitting down a taproot. So if you got dandelions already up, this is not going to do a thing. You still have to spray them, weed them, pull them, do something. But it will keep it from re-germinating. So I do this twice a year in my own yard because I despise two things about gardening. I do not like to water. God allowed man to invent computers to run irrigation systems. I don't want to do any of that. And so I've got 8 valves, and a computer is satellite driven. It monitors the weather, humidity. It's all interactive. It's kind of fun if you're techie. But it's all run by your app, that kind of stuff. But I don't want to water. I'm not going to drag a hose out. If you can't live with it without a drip system, die. I don't want to water you. You need to adapt. And I don't like weeding. Weeding. Adam and Eve were kicked out of the gardens, and we were destined for weeding for the rest of our lives. Not with this. So this kind of keeps it at bay. So you put this on a couple times a year. I'll put it on usually before the winter weeds show up. So we get this real pretty grass that shows up in February sometime. It's called foxtail. Looks real pretty, and then puts on a burr that wants to go through your sock and through your ankle and out the other side. It's nasty, nasty weed. But that only comes up by seed. Comes back every year by seed. Then there's another series of summer plants, goat head. It's a real pretty plant about this big right now. Ground cover. It's got beautiful yellow flowers on it. So then you pull up the bottom of it. It's got hundreds of goat head kind of things where your dog's walking over and it's like they're limping along. That's goat head. It only comes back by seed, not by the roots. It's not a perennial. It's an annual that comes back by, if you can put this down, you will not have those annual weeds down. So take advantage of, I'll usually put this down February and put it down the end of June. It's before the rains come. You want to put it just before the weeds happen, not after. So timing's everything. Those are 2 things that will make your gardening so much easier. Okay. All right. Let's cover some plants, shall we? So I got a few shade plants, a few herbs, and there were so many I had to pace myself. I have too many. I'll try to bump through them real quick. One right here for you folks from Hawaii, California. You love your hibiscus. That big one. It's as big as your phoenix. They sell that tropical hibiscus. You can't grow that one up here. It's a tropical variety, but its cousin, Rose of Sharon, is very hardy. This is a zone 6 plant. It goes down to like -20, -10 or 20. We'll never see that kind of cold, but it's loaded up. Literally, I've had so many flowers on this plant that it literally fell over. I had to stake it because it's so many flowers. So this is what this is what it does. It's got the typical hibiscus flower, a little bit smaller, but there's more of them. And so this one is it's a deciduous tree. That is, it will lose its leaves in the winter, but then it resets. Every summer you can count on it doing this constantly. It gets up to about, I don't know, head higher, so kind of like this big. Lilacs are the same size. Crepe myrtles, same size. Smoke bush, there's a lot of these bigger blooming summer shrubs. They're all companion plants. I brought this one just as a lesson for, there's 2 types of hibiscus. There's tropical and there's perennial, things that come back every year. Okay. Colors, comes in blues, white, double flowers, single flowers. This is a single flower. So this is another one for you southern folks, Texans. Crepe myrtle, okay, classic. I brought it because a lot of folks want crepe myrtle trees here. Of course, southern folks. You can't have that. It doesn't. What happens is they'll grow, and then we'll get a real cold winter that resets them. So they're perennial, but they may or may not come back from the actual stems or branches. They might reset back to the ground, which takes all your tree forms. So everything seems to be a shrub here. They can be a beautiful shrub, but you don't see I haven't seen any crepe myrtle trees that you would see in other parts of the country. And that's the reason why. Figs, I love figs, like edible, like my mouth's watering, thinking of figs right now. In Phoenix, they grow in like trees. They're huge, they're messy, there are figs everywhere. Here, they don't become trees for the same reason. Winter kind of resets them, and so they can go back to ground level. They'll come back fresh. They'll be up this big from the ground and form figs, but you don't see the tree form because the winter resets. That's why. So that's the reason I brought this. There's no other flower summer blooming like this for that bright color. We've got a chocolate-colored foliage, whites, pinks, reds. There's a lot of crepe myrtle. This is crepe myrtle country. This one that blooms every summer. Okay. These 2. This plant is, if it's got thorns, it's probably going to grow in Arizona. So this is barberry. So barberry comes in a chartreuse, green, reds, orange. There's a lot of different colors. It's a good, strong plant for you folks on the ridge lines where it's so windy and sunny. Good plant for you. So a companion plant would be Russian sage. You're seeing a big blue kind of a shrub about hip high with spiky blue flowers on it. This is a companion. That blue, it just goes together. So bright sun. Take a blow dryer to it. Curse at it. It still likes to grow in the sunnier parts of the yard. Okay. This one is called switchgrass. And I bring it because grass is, I don't think we find enough grass. Grass from a designer level. I love grasses because we're in a windy area. There's always a breeze. There's always something moving. So grass brings a lot of drama to the yard. It just adds motion, adds fluff. It just adds something to it. It brings birds in. There's a lot to it. We have a lot of natural grasses that grow here. That you folks out in the valley, you have bear grass, like bears, like tigers, lions, and bears grass. That's an evergreen one that gets about this high or so. It's starting to bloom right now with a white flower on top. That's bear grass. It's native one. It's an evergreen grass. So the way you maintain that one, when it's done blooming, just cut the flower off. Don't cut the grass right back to the ground. This one is an ornamental grass. This one in the winter, what I do is my ornamental grasses, they'll turn brown, usually in November, and they'll keep their structure. They're kind of pretty, even when they're straw colored. But by the middle of January, they've had a couple snows. It's kind of beats them up, makes them look like this. Going, okay, that's it. You're not going to be ugly in my yard. That's when I take a weed whacker to you, whack it right off. And I'll cut it back to, I don't know, this size. I've taken my lawnmower and just short, quick, easy. Not after finesse. It's dormant. It's winter. It's going to come back from the roots. Just cut it off. The most popular one is pampas grass. This is a huge grass. Gets up at least as tall as you and I, if not bigger. I don't plant that one myself because it's just too big. I don't want the grass that big. First of all, you have to cut that one back every year too. I just don't want to work that hard for grass. This one I can get a weed whacker. That one I need a chainsaw. So just for the and it's short-lived. So a pampas grass will start dying out in the middle in about 5-7 years, and then it just eventually becomes a horseshoe, and they're impossible to dig out. So it's generally short-lived. So for my friends, I'll try to talk into some more different ornamental grasses that live so longer, easier to take care of. But if you want one, this is pampas country. We grow really nice ones. The inside scoop with that one, it takes a lot of food to get that big plume to it. And so that what we were talking about with the fertilizer. Do that, you will have magnificent pampas grass. Huge multiples. If you don't do that, they'll be wispy, thin, and not very many blooms. Big old grass, and you planted it for the big flowers, just won't have as many. So you'll walk your neighborhood, and you go, oh, they fertilized, they did. You can just spot it. You can just see who is and who isn't just by the health of the plants in the yard. Okay, so switchgrass gets up about this big, just does this. Real pretty reddish flower to it here, late summer through fall. We grow a lot of different grasses. We probably have 20 different grasses, different styles. I call June perennial month. And the reason I say that is all the perennials come in bloom. Now, I sell perennials year round. I sell a lot of them in spring, March, April. But there you buy a green blob in a bucket, and you got to read the little tag. Go, yeah, I think I see the color of that plant. Oh, it's echinacea. But now you can go, no. Here it is. It's in bloom. You don't have to read the tag. You can just touch, feel, smell. So echinacea, this is a wild flower. We are famous for echinaceas. In fact, I've got 2 of them here. I probably have 3 more colors down there. Stimulate root growth. It's okay. So yellows, your grandparents, they just had purple. Kind of boring. Sold thousands of them. We're trying to find new colors. So you got a double flower, a single flower, different colors. They're all really good. They'll get up about this tall. And this is one that benefits when it's done blooming, just pinch that off. It will set another flower just like that. I'm also a bird gardener. And so I like wooing in the birds. Birds love this plant, especially your winter birds. So what I'll do is I'll deadhead this until maybe the middle of October, and I let it go into seed, and I'll keep the flower. I'll keep the flowers on it so it forms more seed, and I keep that plant out in the gardens. So through winter, the birds will come in and feed off the seeds through winter. It's a food source. Easy. So both of them are really good. So echinaceas, gaillardia or blanket flower. This is a weed. If you have javelina, deer, rabbits, they don't eat this one. So we put this one in our wildflower mix. We make several wildflower mixes for here. This one's always in it. I brought this one for you because you folks that have grown this before, you're used to that yellow orangey color. We're trying to find new colors. So blonde, redhead, brunette, which one? Just they're all the same plant, just the flowers change up on the plant. Okay. Gets up about this tall. They call it blanket flower because it reseeds. And it just starts spreading like a blanket across the yard. So great little plant for you. Another thing, if you take a close look, maybe after the class, you'll see back here. And you can't see it. You'll look at it. It's got hairs all over the foliage and the stems. So this one's got it on the foliage. Echinacea has it on the stems. And what plants are doing is they're putting a texture. So when animals try to eat that plant, those hairs get stuck in their throat. It's a defense the plant does. So that's why animals don't eat these. because they start eating them. They're kind of going, oh, man, anyone got a soda? I need something here. Let's move on and eat your daisies or something else. So plants are pretty smart that way. They've evolved to protect themselves. That's why these are on the resistant list. This one I brought. This is a butterfly magnet extraordinary. This is scabiosa, or pincushion flower. So these are just like butterfly landing pads. You're going to have monarchs. You're going to have painted ladies. You're going to have swallowtails. They are going to be all over this plant. Consistent bloomer. You see it's got 3 blooms here. And it's got another 50 waiting to come up. This is one, if you deadhead it, just keeps coming over and over. Perennial. Comes back every year. Does this every year for you. So pincushion flower. Really good. This is a really good four-season growing place. We got all 4 covered. And we grow them better than other parts of the country because the light is so bright. And we don't have the mildew, the humidity issues like black spot, leaf spot. We have some of that. But the South, Midwest, you're always fighting molds, mildews, that kind of stuff. Here we don't do that very much. And it's so easy to correct if we do see that. And so that's why we grow so many good plants. Perennial. Echinacea, Rudbeckia, Summertina, Sunchase, Echinacea. What we did is we're blending, we're creating new life. So we just hybridized 2 different plants together. This is Rudbeckia and Echinacea. You come up with one that's on steroids. Is that pretty or what? Oh my gosh. That's gorgeous. And it's not a sunflower. This is not a sunflower. It's going to be only gets this tall. It puts on these big old yellow flowers. This is part of the country you grow this type of perennial plant that comes back every year that other parts just wish they could. I get all my Phoenix folks, oh, can I take this back to my Scottsdale home? No, only grows up here. It needs the cold, needs the rest in the winter to be able to put that kind of energy into a flower. Just some new things. There's a couple of the butterfly things. These are hummingbird things. These are the 2, probably the most popular perennial I sell. This is autumn sage, or Salvia greggii. You'll see them all. They're in every neighborhood. They're about knee-high, ball-shaped, and they do this. And they're just consistent. They have a sage smell. So every time you hear the word sage or salvia, you know you've got a good plant because the animals aren't going to eat it. So animals don't eat herbs, basically. They don't like lavender. They don't like rosemary. They don't like sage, oregano, thyme. They don't like smelly things. So this is a defense. The plant has this fragrance to keep the animals off of it. So, and then it just does this. Hummingbirds think they've died and gone to heaven. Literally, you'll see a hummingbird dart across the yard, see this plant go, whoa, shoot, run right back to it. Literally, these will come off the truck. They will follow us. They'll follow us down to where we merchandise in the yard. It was kind of fun. About a month, 6 weeks ago, the baby hummingbirds had launched. So all the babies were around the yard. They're all small. These are kind of pint size. And so they're all over these kind of sages. This is the same plant, just purple. So it's such a strong plant. We're trying to introduce new varieties because they're all very good, strong plants. Which I broke that one, but I think there's tangerine. There's one called lipstick. It's a white flower with looks like fairies and put lipstick on the end of each white flower. There's different varieties. They're all good. Okay, that one is deciduous. It loses foliage, so you won't even see where it's at in the winter. Then it comes back and starts blooming sometime in April. And won't stop until fall or autumn. It's prettiest colors in the autumn. This one's called Gara. Boy, that thing is just a problem, isn't it? So anyway, I'll speak up. Gara. This again, I brought it because it's kind of a different plant, but it loves growing here, and hummingbirds love this plant. So it gets up about this tall. The foliage gets this big, and then the flowers will keep hovering. The flowers will end up being about this big, and they kind of float in the wind. The foliage will stay down here. But hummingbirds, your monarchs, that kind of stuff, they'll love this kind of flower to it. It's good full sun kind of plant. Blistering hot, like more sun, more flowers. So this one's not more sunflowers. I brought some shade over. One more sun plant. I brought shade, I brought shrubs, sunny, shady, and herbs. Just kind of breaking it up for you. This is a new one. This is called Euphorbia, which is so new. It's Miner's Merlot Euphorbia. So Euphorbia is related to poinsettias. So when you break the stem, that white sap that comes out, this has got the same thing. So this one's, the animals don't bother this because of the white sap. Makes your tongue pucker. It's like eating a persimmon or something. Only there's no sweet taste afterwards. And so this one is, I like this one because it's evergreen. So it grows up vase-shaped, about this tall, and it holds this foliage year-round, which is kind of fun. So it's one of the few perennials that stays green right through winter. They have another one, it's a lime-colored one, which is the original, called Rainbow Ascot. That one I use to line my back patio. There's steps going out the back to the driveway. And when we're entertaining at night, everyone wants to sneak out, not to the house. They sneak out the back gate. Kind of, I'm out of here. See you later. And it's dark. Yeah, I've got lighting. It's kind of resort feel, but it's still dark. I put the lime-colored one with some lights, and all of a sudden it glows. The plants will glow and light up. That walkway going up the side of the steps just feels good. Even in a strong moonlight, you'll see the plants. And it's evergreen. So Euphorbia. Now shade lovers. I brought this one because gardenias are so famous in some parts of the country. Most of them don't grow here. There's two that do, and this is one. So this is one of the evergreen gardenias. It doesn't get as big as, let's say, in California, but it does gets like this big. Grows in a container, grows in the yard, grows in the ground. Evergreen. Has this beautiful fragrance. So if you smell something in the greenhouse, that's what this is. The only thing is, don't put it out in the sun. It can take some sun, but that midday heat, like 10 to 2, it's not going to like that right now. But it will take morning sun, late day sun. It'll take some of that midday kind of intense for it. It'll shed its flowers, get brown tips. The tag says it will grow in full sun. I'm just telling you as your friend. I've got 2 of these myself, and I found they grow better in a little more protected area. So the sun is more intense at this altitude. So you were growing Japanese maples. Everyone wants a Japanese maple, and they want it in the full sun. Well, I grew that other places, not here. I know the tag says it will grow in full sun, but our sun is more intense. It's that new growth in the spring with that dry wind. It causes brown tips to it. So it'll grow, but you'll hate it. So you kind of want to give it its right. So it grows more in that shaded east. Give it some protection, and it thrives. It's not the cold. It's not the winter that gets it. It's that new growth in spring with that wind, and dryness. That's what gets it. So placement is going to be more. You need to place it more exact here, and we can help you with that. That's what we do all day long. Okay. Hydrangeas do grow here. Rhododendrons, azaleas do grow here. They do like more acidity. So these kind of plants I like to grow in containers myself. It can grow in the ground, but it will never be blue because your water, your ground is so alkaline, it'll just naturally go to pink. Or just commit. I know it's going to go to pink. I'm going to plant pink. So I don't have to deal with all that. But if you put it in a container, you've got potting soil, which is mainly peat moss, which is very acidic, and your pots tend to flush out a lot of that mineral stuff, so you can control the color a little easier. So being more exact with the soil where I put it will make a difference. But these do grow here. Okay? Same with hostas, the #1 perennial sold in the country. Hostas grow here as well, in the shade, so not in the sun. And if you've got deer, they love the taste of hostas, so protect them. So don't just put it out there and wait for javelina to eat it. You want to protect it. Okay, so just kind of know what you got going on. Another shade plant, this one just came in. Kind of a famous plant, but hard to find. This is called bleeding heart. It comes in kind of this. This is fully mature shade plant. So it does this. It kind of has these flowers, that the heart shape with the stamen that comes out of it. Looks like it's bleeding. That's the name, bleeding heart. Good, strong plant. Animals don't seem to bother this. Animals don't bother the gardenia. Personal experience. Javelina are my nemesis. So I actually just kind of, if you have javelina, what I do, so I'm in an HOA. You can't have a fence in the front yard, but you can in the backyard. So I went down into Olson's Grain. And I got the lowest leveled electric fence I could find. And I went down to Depot and I got some pre-cut rebar. And I snuck out at night while no one's looking. Hammer those in the ground. I take those yellow insulators and screw it onto the rebar. Put it on a timer because my wife gets zipped. It's not going to be good. I put it on a timer so it only comes on when no one's out there, just to have Elena. And I just snaked a wire through put off the ground, through the gardens. I didn't close it because I don't want my Amazon driver to get zipped with the front door. It's got to be common sense. And then I put a piece of aluminum foil over top of the wire with some peanut butter on it on the bottom side. First night one, that lead bore hit the wire. Go, oh, peanut butter. I love peanut butter. Oh. And I don't know what happened, but there was just wire all over the yard. It must have stampeded. None of it was left. And then I set it back up, and I haven't seen them since. So I had to derail. We were on a major path. I had to derail them to go. I want them to go to your yard, not to my yard. That's how I did it. So electric fence there's some things you can do. I took the yellow insulators and I spray painted them. I camoed them. It's ugly. I want to see yellow in there. I want to see flowers, not yellow plastic thing. So I spray painted them so you don't even see it. So anyway, some tricks. Number one seller. This is periwinkle or finca. This is one. Be careful. This is a weed. Don't put this in the middle of your gardens. All that will be left is this after about 2 years. Choke out everything. You want to put this off the edge where you just miss it with irrigation. Put off the edge of the driveway. We can run over it with a truck every once in a while. We want to keep this one in check. So it can be a weed. I put this in the front of my container. We have a lot of containers. So that's just pretty. And so I'll put this on the front edge and it just trails and flows over with these blue flowers. It's pretty versatile. Animals don't eat it. Count on it. It's evergreen. It's a good plant. Just don't put it just anywhere. I brought this one. It's balloon flower. Just a true blue, pretty, shade-loving plant. Perennial. Strawberries I brought because we grow really good strawberries, and we don't have to do all the work that you're used to in the Midwest. There you have to put straw over them. You have to protect them in the winter. Here they just come back and do their thing. They're so much easier. I use this one actually quite a bit as a ground cover because they just spread and they just hop over and they kind of spread out. They're not as aggressive as this guy.
Will that attract the javelina and deer?
Will they attract javelina and deer? I don't know. They will probably attract pack rats. That would be the main. There's a supersized rat. It's like on steroids. It's like a small cat with beady eyes. They come out at night and they crawl over. They get into anything, and they love your RV, your camper, your built-in grill, your hot tub. They love the sheds. They'll build nests. In fact, you'll see in the oaks and the manzanitas, you'll see this big kind of wood pile in the middle of the scrub oaks. That's a pack rat nest. So if you take those wood pieces apart, I've done this a few times. You take all that nest apart, and underneath all this wood, you'll see these 2 or 3 of the most beautiful bird nests, soft as can be, or rat nests. The rat nests, but they're just beautiful. And so they're using the sticks to keep all the hawks and the things that eat them, fox, coyotes, keep them off. So anyway, you don't want pack rats. Rats deserve to die. Have them go away. They got into my grandmother's, Lisa's grandmother's house, and she was a kind gal. let's live with everyone. She's just one of those kind of folks. They got in the attic and stripped every wire, bare insulation. They rewire the whole house. You don't want pack rats. All right, so I brought this one. We're into mosquito. When the rains come, mosquitoes start to come out, flies, ants. This is a scented geranium. It just has that around. It's kind of fun. That's a geranium. You kind of take it, just pass it to the neighbor. When it gets to the back, just put it in the back behind you. It's got this citronella smell. So I like to plant those on the patio where we entertain. And just before we go out in the evening, I'll just hose off, take the hose, and I'll just activate the smell of the foliage just by a little bit of moisture. Just makes the whole patio come alive with smell, and it pushes out all the flies and mosquitoes. It's quite effective. Rosemary will do that. Lavender, herbs will do that. So I like to plant those kinds of things around my patio where we're going to be sitting, because my wife is there's one mosquito around, she's going to have 3 bites. It's just guaranteed. Me, I'm like too crusty or something. They don't bother me. They eat her. So, yeah. This is Penta. Penta is also, if you like butterflies, Penta is a great plant. So this is an annual, and it's going to live for a year, but it's one that most folks don't know because it's not here in the spring. This is a summer plant. This needs the heat. It needs the sun to get this kind of flower. Guaranteed, you're going to have butterflies landing on this in containers out in the yard. Plant this in your vegetable gardens. It's going to attract the pollinators into that part of the garden to help you pollinate your squash and things. This is called Believable Sunflower. So sunflowers grow really well. Kind of weedy, kind of mangy looking, or they're just big, gigantic heads that just always leaning over. This one we've bred. It's an annual, so it doesn't seed. And then its claim to fame is it will push 1,000 flowers off. 1,000 flowers off of it in one season. And it comes close. I know mine has hundreds. It's already had hundreds. So it just does this. It'll get about this big around, and that fall, it just does this. Deadheaded when it's done, instantly puts on another flower. It's an amazing new sunflower that just came out this is the 2nd year. So it's unbelievable. And then I'll leave you with herbs, only because we're such good herb country. We grow herbs better than anyone else. Herbs love bright sun. They need the 4 seasons. They just do well. I brought it. This is this is lavender. So these are lavenders. There's 3 different kinds of lavender. There's French, there's Spanish, and there's English. So the Spanish is the #1 seller because it's pretty. They take pictures of it, they put it in front of magazines. It's glorious. It's kind of a wimp. It's not as hardy as English, which isn't as showy, but this one is brutally tough. You can't kill this. Gets up about, 2-3 feet knee high or so, bowl shaped. The flowers aren't as showy, but puts on more flowers. And again, it's a pollinator attractor. Animals aren't going to bother this. So, and then French, it's ultimate wimp. But French is the one that you make all the potpourris out. It's got more oil to it. And so, but I would not plant that in my yard and expect it to come back next year. It's more of an annual. Okay, so there's different types. Brought it for that. This is a variegated one. This is tough. A variegated variety of labs. One last. I brought rosemary only because there's probably 50 different varieties of rosemary, and we get that Phoenix influence. That box store buyer will go, send 100 of those. Every one of my stores in Arizona. And then we get these off-brand, these varieties that should not be grown up here. And they give it to you. And then you plant it out in the yard, and it dies. Oh, my thumbs are so brown. It is not you with some of these plants. You were sold the wrong plants. It's because they're supposed to be in Phoenix, not up here. And the #1 mistake people make are with roseberries. You'd think they're so popular down in Phoenix, but a lot of those varieties do not winter over at this altitude. So we're curating that down for you. So we only sell at Waters Garden Center. We only sell varieties that grow here because we want you to be successful. And so it's going to be a little bit bigger, a little bit more mature. It's going to have more flowers. You're going to pay $5 more for it. But it's going to be way more plants. That's our niche in the market. So this is a Tuscany rosemary. This is a big one. Gets up about, I don't know, hip high or so. A little insider tip. You can take these branches off, take off the foliage. Best skewers ever for chicken and pork. Oh my gosh. Permeates from the inside out. It's magical. And then this is Huntington carpet. This is a ground cover variety. So there's only 2 varieties of ground covers that will grow here. There's a lot of varieties you'll find. There's only 2 we're going to sell here. This is one of them. So just kind of the lesson is do your homework and know who you're buying from and will it actually winter over here. Because sometimes you have a failure and it's not because of you. You were sold the wrong plant. You just helped a customer from the Midwest. Yeah, Ken, we bought an Acer Reverum, the #1 selling maple in the Midwest. Yeah, I bought this Acer. I got it cheap over at, I won't say which orange box it was, but it was orange box. And it's just not straight. Just what's going on? Well, first, there's a reason we don't sell that maple here at Waters Gardens, because it's just going to struggle like this until it's about 10 years old. It's going to look ugly like this. You should have planted a Prescott Blaze maple, would have done way better. So Prescott Blaze is the better. Blaze is a red maple,
Is it really
faster
called
growing.
Prescott, right?
Yeah, here at Waters it is.
Oh,
Yeah. So anyway, do your homework, know what you get into. And that's all I got. I mean, it went 20 minutes over. I apologize. You'll have handouts to you here shortly. Probably after the lunch rush. Look for an email from me. And then I'll hang out for questions for you because we just went too long. I'll just hang out here as long as you want. Come look at the plants. We'll answer questions. We'll just talk gardener to gardener and go from there. Next week, there is no class. We're taking a break for the 4th of July. So that's the 9th. We'll be back at it. I think that's the 15th, the week after, Saturday after next week. Okay. With that, I'll let you clap because I like that. And I'll let you get on. I'll hang out for you again. Okay. Thanks, you all. Good crowd. All right. Get this back to you.